You've decided to go no contact. You've made the choice to withdraw your presence, to stop chasing, to reclaim your dignity. And at first, it feels powerful. At first, you feel in control. But then the silence stretches on, and you notice something you didn't expect. She's silent too. No messages, no "I miss you," no breadcrumbs to pull you back in. Just silence staring back at you. And now the question burns in your mind. What if she's also doing no contact with me? What if she's not waiting, not missing me, not even thinking about me? What if I never hear from her again? This is the battlefield of the mind. This is where most men crumble. Because silence is easy to give for a day or a week. But silence over time, that's where the discipline is tested. That's when the ego starts whispering, "She doesn't care. She's stronger than you. If you don't reach out, you'll lose her forever." But here's the truth. No contact is not a competition. It's not a staring contest where the loser is the one who blinks first. If you think of it like that, you've already lost. Because you're still playing her game. You're still reacting to her moves. You're still measuring your strength by her silence. The Stoic doesn't operate like that. The Stoic knows he cannot control her actions, only his own. Her silence, that belongs to her. Your silence, that belongs to you. The only thing you control is whether you break, whether you cave, whether you betray your own decision. And once you understand this, the mind game shifts completely. Imagine two warriors on the battlefield, standing across from each other. Neither has swung a sword yet. The weak one grows restless. He lunges first, desperate to end the tension. But the one who waits, the one who stays calm, the one who refuses to move until the time is right, that warrior holds the true power. That is what no contact is. It is not waiting for her to break. It is waiting for yourself to rise above the impulse to break. It is the art of self-mastery disguised as silence. And here's the paradox. If she is truly also doing no contact, then she feels the same tension you do. She hears the same whispers. She wonders the same questions. The longer you hold the line, the heavier your absence becomes. The longer you remain silent, the more it gnaws at her mind. So understand this. The mind game of silence isn't about her at all. It's about you. It's about proving to yourself that you don't need to chase, that you don't need to react, that you don't need her voice to validate your worth. The real victory isn't when she breaks her silence. The real victory is when you master yours. If this resonates with you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and drop a comment below sharing your own no-contact journey. Let's build the Stoic army together. One of the greatest lessons Stoicism has to offer is painfully simple. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. That is the razor's edge of wisdom, and yet most men spend their lives suffering because they blur the line. They obsess over the part that is not theirs to command. When you go no contact, and she mirrors you with silence of her own, panic often rises. Thoughts race. What if she doesn't care? What if she's stronger? What if she's already moved on? But here's the hard truth. None of that belongs to you. Her actions, her choices, her silence, these are outside your control. To chase answers, there is to hand your peace over to someone else. Epictetus would say, "Freedom is secured not by the fulfillment of men's desires, but by the removal of desire." In this context, the desire is the craving to control her reaction, to predict her moves, to bend her silence into something that makes you feel safe. But a Stoic man refuses that craving. He knows that the only true freedom is to govern himself, to let go of what is not his, and to stand calm while others thrash in their storms. Think of it this way. If you stand at the ocean's edge and command the waves to stop, will they obey? Number. And if you scream at the sky to turn the clouds away, Will it listen? Number. Her silence is the same. It belongs to her, like the tide belongs to the sea. You cannot command it, but you can command yourself. You can command your patience. You can command your discipline. That is where your empire lies. And here's the paradox. When you obsess over her silence, you strengthen it. You give it power over you. But when you see it for what it is, just another external event, you strip it of its sting. Her silence is only a weapon if you hand her the blade. If you refuse to care, it becomes nothing more than background noise. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That means your thoughts, your habits, your emotions, those are your domain. Her silence, irrelevant. Her actions, outside events. And if they are outside, they are nothing. So when you ask, what if she's also doing no contact with me? The Stoic answer is this. It doesn't matter. What matters is you, your composure, your refusal to break, your ability to walk through the desert of silence and still grow stronger. And here is where most men lose. They take no contact as a battle to be won against her. But the real battle has always been against themselves. If you can conquer your urge to control, if you can conquer your craving for her response, if you can sit still while the silence grows heavy, then you have already won. That is the Stoic reality of control. You don't control her. You don't control the outcome. You control yourself. And that control makes you untouchable. When you realize she isn't reaching out, when her phone stays cold, when her silence stretches on, your mind wants to turn her into some kind of unshakable warrior. You start thinking, she must be stronger than me. She must not care. She must already be over it. But that is an illusion. Her silence does not equal strength. Understand this. Silence can come from many places. It can come from pain. It can come from pride. It can come from fear. And sometimes it can come from a desperate attempt to mirror you, hoping you'll crack first. Don't confuse her lack of action with inner mastery. Don't confuse her quiet with true Stoic calm. Many people go silent not because they are strong, but because they are weak and have no idea what to say. The Stoics taught us to look past appearances. Epictetus warned that external actions mean nothing if the inner self is still in chains. And that's the truth here. Her silence could mean anything, but it doesn't mean she's won. If her heart is restless, if her mind is racing, if she's checking her phone every hour wondering why you haven't broken yet, what kind of strength is that? That's not strength. That's weakness, hiding behind stillness. Here's the difference. Stoic silence is rooted in choice. It is deliberate. It is discipline. It comes from a man who says, I refuse to be disturbed by what is outside my control. Weak silence is reactive. It is pride masquerading as calm. It is fear dressed up as indifference. And let's be honest, if she is truly mirroring your no contact, that means she noticed your silence. That means your absence is registered. That means, on some level, she feels it. Because indifference doesn't mirror. Indifference doesn't care enough to respond in kind. The very fact that her actions reflect yours is proof that she is watching, calculating, reacting. And reaction is not power. It is dependence. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not what they say or think of you that matters, but what you do." Her silence, whatever it means, is still outside your control. But your silence, that is within your command. And that is what makes you stronger. So don't trick yourself into believing her silence is victory. Silence only becomes strength when it comes from discipline, not from fear, not from games, not from pride. And if you hold your silence with calm, with dignity, with mastery, you are already standing on higher ground, no matter what she does. So here you are, silent, and there she is, silent too. Two ghosts haunting each other's absence. And in this strange standoff, a paradox emerges. The more both of you refuse to speak, the heavier the silence becomes, and the more power shifts to the one who is least disturbed by it. This is where men often fail. They mistake the silence of two people for a battle that needs to be won. They start pacing, overthinking, replaying every detail. If she's silent, does that mean she's stronger? Does that mean she's already forgotten me? Does that mean she's moved on? But this is the illusion. The silence isn't her weapon. The silence isn't your weapon. The silence is the battleground itself, and the one who suffers least upon it is the one who prevails. Think of two men locked in a dark cell. No food, no water, no light. The one who panics, who bangs on the walls, who screams to be released, he is broken first. But the one who sits quietly, who accepts the darkness, who makes peace with the emptiness, he survives. That is the paradox of two ghosts. It isn't about who speaks first, it's about who needs to speak least. And here's the truth. Silence weighs on everyone differently. For the person who depended on your energy, your presence, your validation, your absence is torment. Every day without you is a reminder that they no longer control you. For the man who has reclaimed his dignity, who has turned silence into a forge of strength, the absence is peace. Every day without her is a reminder that he is in command of himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That is exactly what happens here. Two people, both silent, yet one is tormented while the other is free. The silence is the same, the experience is not. So when you find yourself in this paradox, understand this. The real ghost story is not about her haunting you. It's about you haunting yourself with your own thoughts. If you master those thoughts, if you remain calm, if you treat the silence as nothing more than air, you win. Because she may ghost you, but only you decide whether that ghost has power. The paradox of two ghosts is simple. Silence hurts the one who fears it and empowers the one who embraces it. No contact is not just about silence, it's about transformation. Most men waste it. They sit staring at their phones, counting the days, waiting for her to break. They treat no contact like a waiting room, not realizing it was meant to be a training ground. The point isn't to sit idle, the point is to rise. The Stoics believed every challenge was fuel for growth. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that obstacles were not barriers, but stepping stones. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, and what greater obstacle is there than silence? What greater test of a man's discipline than the void of someone else's absence? So, what do you do if she's also silent? You stop watching the silence like it's a scoreboard. You use it. You forge yourself in it. You turn the empty space where her attention used to be into space for your own self-mastery. Every unanswered text is a rep in the gym. Every day without contact is a page you write, a mile you run, a discipline you sharpen. While she's out there wondering if you'll break, you are building, and by the time she realizes your absence, you won't just be gone, you'll be unrecognizable. Here's the paradox. Men who waste no contact remain the same. Men who use no contact transform. One man waits, hoping she comes back to the old version of him. The other man evolves so much that even if she returned, she wouldn't recognize the man she once took for granted. And this is why you should never fear her silence. If she is doing no contact, let her. Because while she is waiting, you are growing. While she is mirroring, you are mastering. While she is silent, you are sculpting yourself into someone stronger, sharper, and more disciplined than before. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Don't waste this silence. Don't treat it as dead time. Treat it as sacred time. Treat it as the crucible where you refine yourself. Because the truth is this: the man who uses no contact to grow will never lose, whether she comes back or not. If there is one thing that will break your power during no contact, it is reaction. The moment you give in and text her first, the moment you call, the moment you fold under the weight of your own emotions, you hand her the victory. Because reaction is weakness. The Stoics taught that the man who cannot control his impulses is not free. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's what breaking no contact really is. It's losing mastery. It's proving that your emotions still rule you, that her silence still pulls your strings like a puppet. Here's the trap. Your mind convinces you that reaching out is strength. It whispers, "You're just being honest. You're showing courage. You're proving you don't play games." But underneath, it's not courage. It's craving. It's your hunger for her attention disguised as nobility. And she will see it for exactly what it is: weakness. Think about it. If she has stayed silent and you break, what does that tell her? That you could not withstand your own decision. That your silence was a mask, not a choice. That you were waiting, pacing, breaking down, until finally you cracked. Your message doesn't say, "I care." It says, "You won." The Stoic path is different. The Stoic does not act from impulse. He acts from principle. He does not speak because he is anxious. He speaks because it serves his values. He does not move because he feels empty. He moves because it aligns with his discipline. That is strength. And here's the paradox. When you resist reaction, when you master the storm inside, you grow more powerful by the day. Every time you don't send the message, every time you don't check her social media, every time you don't break, you are sharpening your self-control. Your silence becomes heavier, your absence more unforgettable. Marcus Aurelius warned himself not to be ruled by passions, but by reason. And that's exactly the difference. Reaction is passion. It is fire without control. Silence is reason. It is fire forged into steel. So remember this. If you break no contact first, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself. But if you master your impulse, if you hold the line, if you let silence be your shield, you prove that you are stronger than any game she can play. Reaction is weakness. Restraint is power. At the heart of Stoicism lies a powerful weapon that few ever master: indifference. Not coldness, not bitterness, not hatred, true indifference. The ability to look at what once shook you to your core and say, "This does not disturb me anymore." When you realize she's also silent, when she mirrors your no contact, indifference is what separates the strong from the weak. The weak man obsesses, he overthinks, he wonders what every hour of her silence means. He tortures himself by imagining her with someone else. But the Stoic man shrugs. He sees her silence as just another external event, like the weather, like the wind, like the turning of the seasons. It simply is. Epictetus told his students, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Her silence is not the problem. It's your interpretation of it that creates suffering. If you see it as proof she doesn't care, you'll feel despair. If you see it as a game she's playing, you'll feel trapped. But if you see it as nothing more than silence, then it loses all power over you. Indifference doesn't mean you never cared. It means you have grown beyond needing her response to validate your worth. It means your self-respect is intact whether she texts or not. It means you are unshaken because your foundation is built on yourself, not on the shifting sands of her attention. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, sitting in his tent during war, writing in his journal, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Do you think a man who lived with death at his doorstep daily would crumble at another person's silence? Number. He trained himself to be unmoved by anything external. Praise, insult, presence, absence. That's indifference. And here's the secret. Indifference is the ultimate power move. Because when you truly don't care whether she breaks no contact or not, the balance shifts. She begins to wonder, why hasn't he reached out? Has he already moved on? Did he forget me? The same silence that tormented you now torments her. But you remain steady, calm, untouched. Indifference doesn't just protect your peace, it punishes their pride. Because nothing unsettles someone more than realizing they no longer control you. So embody the Stoic way. Don't rage at her silence. Don't fear it. Don't glorify it. Be indifferent to it. Treat it as air. Treat it as nothing. And in doing so, you will stand taller than you ever have before. At first, silence feels like power to her. She thinks she is in control. She believes her quiet makes you weak, that it leaves you pacing, waiting, desperate for her return. But silence is a strange thing. It grows heavier over time, and the longer it lasts, the more it shifts. In the beginning, her pride shields her. I don't need him. He'll reach out first. He always does. But days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months. And slowly, that shield begins to crack. Because human nature is not built to ignore uncertainty forever. Eventually, the mind starts to wander. Why hasn't he texted? Why hasn't he called? Did he already replace me? Is he really gone? The same silence she thought would break you begins to break her. Every unanswered message she expected from you becomes a question that haunts her. Every day you remain disciplined, she wonders more about the life you're living without her. The Stoics understood this psychological shift well. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." That's exactly what happens here. Your silence forces her into imagination, and imagination always magnifies. Maybe you're with someone better. Maybe you've completely forgotten her. Maybe your silence is proof that she no longer matters. These thoughts snowball until she's no longer punishing you. You are punishing her without lifting a finger. And here's the paradox. The less you do, the more powerful you become in her mind. The man who begs, who chases, who breaks silence, he loses all mystery. But the man who remains silent, calm and steady becomes a riddle, a ghost she can't escape, a question with no answer, and the human mind cannot let go of unanswered questions. This is why you must hold the line. Because while you are focused on growth, discipline and building yourself, she is left in the prison of her own imagination. The silence that once seemed easy to her begins to eat away at her pride, and eventually she will feel the weight of what your absence truly means. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer." You don't chase, you don't break, you don't try to play her games, you simply remain silent. And in that silence, her own mind becomes her punishment. Here is where most men go wrong. They treat no contact like a waiting game. They cut off communication, but instead of moving forward, they sit still. They watch the clock. They stare at their phones. They wonder when she will break, when she will reach out, when the silence will end. But if you're waiting, you're not winning. If you're sitting idle, you're still chained to her. The Stoic path is different. No contact is not time wasted, it's time invested. Every day without her should be a day you rise higher. Every hour of silence should be turned into an hour of growth. This is where you take back your power, not by waiting, but by building. So what do you do instead of waiting? You turn inward. You turn disciplined. You sharpen every part of yourself that grew dull while you were distracted by her. Train your body. Hit the gym with the consistency of a soldier. Let every rep remind you that your strength is yours, not dependent on anyone else. Train your mind. Read, journal, study philosophy. Replace the noise of longing with the clarity of wisdom. Build your empire. Pour energy into your work, your goals, your craft. The time you once wasted refreshing your phone should now be invested in building the life she no longer has access to. Master your emotions. Instead of letting thoughts about her run wild, sit in silence, breathe, and practice detachment. The less you need from her, the more powerful you become. This is how you win no contact, not by watching, not by waiting, but by transforming. And here's the paradox. The more you grow, the more the silence shifts in your favor. Because while she wonders if you're thinking about her, you're out there becoming someone greater than she ever knew. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Think about that. If she does come back, what version of yourself will she meet? The broken man who sat waiting, or the disciplined man who turned absence into evolution? No contact is not about her at all. It's about you. It's the forge where you build yourself into someone so unshakable that whether she returns or not, you remain victorious. At the end of it all, the question, what if she's also doing no contact with me, is the wrong question. The real question is this: who will I become in the silence? Because her actions are hers. They belong to her pride, her fear, her choices. But your actions, they belong to you, and they are the only ones that matter. The Stoics would remind you, control is not about bending others to your will. Control is about mastering yourself. If she is silent, let her be silent. If she never comes back, let her never come back. Your worth does not vanish with her words. Your value does not depend on her attention. Your strength is not measured by whether she breaks. Your strength is measured by whether you remain unbroken. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by betrayals, wars, and loss. Yet he wrote to himself each day to remain calm, steady, and disciplined. Why? Because the world cannot shake a man who has already mastered his own soul. That is the essence of Stoic no contact. You don't wait for her to move. You move forward regardless. So if she's also doing no contact, don't panic, don't obsess, don't chase, use it. Turn the silence into your ally. Let it be the space where you build your body, sharpen your mind, and forge your character. Because in the end, her silence is her problem. But your silence is your freedom. If this video gave you strength, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about your own no-contact journey. Share it with a brother who needs this reminder. And remember, your silence is not weakness. It is your greatest weapon.